Clara, I cannot change the laws of physics. I've got to have at least 42 minutes to turn the Dalek good and stop the radiation.
Sure you can, Doctor. Just use the Jeffries tubes.
Och, aye, that'd be a wee bit better then. I'll have her kicking in time for a pint.
Alrighty.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 70 of an Unearthly podcast. We're recording live on September 3, 2014, and featuring the latest episode of Doctor Who, Into the Dalek. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
Hello.
Randy Ronston McCulloch.
Always a pleasure.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Ooby dooby.
So before we kick into all of our various deep breath related news, unfortunately our Lost Stories segment has returned. It's actually very timely for me because at GeekCon, which you might remember was where we had our last episode that was not live, well, was physically live but not online live, I watched the episode he featured in, and thank you, Internet, and Bill Kerr, who played Giles Kent in Enemy of the World, recently passed at the age of 92.
So,
Fairly
that's
decent
a good
run.
That's a good run plus a decade.
Yeah. Does it say why? I'm not sure. Doesn't seem to say why.
It doesn't say why.
I guess he was holding off until his episode hit DVD, and when that happened last year, he had what he needed to go on.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's nothing I can see. Of course, at 92, they sometimes don't bother to give you the reason for death, just natural causes.
Yeah, he died at his home, so he wasn't hospitalized or anything like that.
So it was probably natural causes.
Yeah. From here, we have a string of deep breath-related articles. Generally, viewing figures and such. So we'll run through those as quickly as we can, because I don't think there's anything hugely interesting in how many people watch Deep Breath, but it is news worth talking about. So we'll discuss that for a bit. UK final figures is 9.17 million. I think it was at 7.8 after the first showing, and that's including the second showing later that night. Okay, so everyone who watched the show on BBC One within the first week of transmission.
Okay. And it's noting that it was the second highest show that week after the Great British Bake Off.
And it was...
So it lost to a cooking show.
Apparently it was also the most watched Doctor Who episode, not counting Christmas specials or 50th anniversary specials, since the previous Doctor's debut episode. So that pretty much shows what types of episodes people like to watch.
Well,
Apparently.
yeah. You're always wondering what the new Doctor is going to be like.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't a regular watcher of the show, it's still a matter of, I wonder, how he's going to act. And there's been a lot of speculation about how Capaldi would be acting because, what he's done in previous works has been so not doctory.
And we're still kind of wondering, what he'll throw at us next. Because he's been kind of an odd doctor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, depending on how you go off of, depending on how many doctors back you're willing to go, it could be argued that his current role is acting not particularly doctory either. But there's a precedent for that.
Yes, there is. There's a couple of precedents for that.
True. So yes. Let's see. Trying to look at the figures we've got. Oh, there's just some smaller figures of later in the week showings rather than any of the big ones.
Yeah,
They
I would.
expect you to read all the articles, but I figured just to go with the final article rather than every single UK writing article.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was something like 7.8 million for the first. Then there was an overnight which had its own ratings, and then several encores from there throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
The
As
majority of it came from Saturday.
Gotta see first.
All right, so let's go back
to the United States.
Yep.
Come on, Internet. Thank you, Internet. The United States had 2.6 million, so significantly lower, but it hasn't had as huge of a U.S. impact as of yet, but it's definitely, getting there.
Well, also, you got to look at the fact that that in the UK, this is on BBC One. It's, basically the big network.
I don't think the U.S. has one of those anymore.
Technically, the comparison would be if this had been airing on CBS or NBC or ABC, something like that. As
Do people
opposed
still
to
watch those?
some people do.
Like
Because
Fox.
everything I know of that, everything I ever hear of people talking about watching something on, it's either on HBO, on CW, or Fox.
Well, there are occasionally. I mean, Gotham is going to be coming out, I think, on NBC. I think.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to be
Fox.
watching networks for that.
During the premiere on Saturday, which was watched by 2.2 million, Doctor Who was the most watched show on cable. So maybe it was big news. So that just shows how much of a distribution American cable channels have. I mean, granted, I know the channels Randy mentioned I don't think are considered cable, so that might skew things as well. I'm not, depending on whether they're specifically talking cable channels or in general.
They're talking, when they say on cable, they mean anything, any non-network television. So not CBS, NBC.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, I thought those. Wait, yeah, I don't.
Not CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, CW, or PBS.
Right.
They're
yeah,
talking
so
channels like this,
CFE,
CFE, Hub, HBO, maybe, and maybe a couple of others.
And this is also, it says, the biggest premiere that they've ever had on BBC America. Now, I watch a lot of BBC America now. And BBC America is basically 3 shows. It has a few other shows.
The last equivalent premiere, they're talking about the 11th hour, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and I think by that point, so it makes sense that the American audience has grown hugely in the past 4 years for Doctor Who.
And we know that close to 2,000 people that wanted to see it couldn't because they were at a convention in Middleton.
Yeah.
2,000 of them.
Well,
I'm pretty sure not the whole 3,000, but I'm willing to bet about half of them did.
Only 1 million of those viewers were adults between ages 25 and 54. That number surprises me compared to the 2.2.
How do they know that?
They're doing a demographics probably. Actually, I don't know how they know that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of rubbish. That's pulling numbers out of the butt.
Do they do the boxes?
I think that goes off when you get cable. I think you check off how many people are in the household of what ages for the sake of ratings.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Maybe,
if they know how old people are in the household, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I know they can get these numbers. Is how many people also wound up DVRing it?
I think, yeah, these numbers still usually don't include the DVR, which is something that has plagued Doctor Who since 1996.
Yep.
They said that the UK ratings are at least this is the final ratings, which is different and more reliable than the overnight report.
Yes, that's yeah, that was the full.
And
That's the full
within
rating.
it's all those who watch the program within 1 week of transmission.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was Britain and America. So now we go on to the next, which I believe is the Canadian ratings.
Yep.
They watched it up there in Canada, eh?
Hey, yeah.
Oh, wow. They only had 805,000 viewers. Must have been up against the hockey game.
It was the #1 program on the day on all of television among the key, I guess, okay,
Age 25 to
54,
54.
18 to 49 demographics. Okay, I thought it was in general. And the most watched episode on their channel, Space, this broadcast year to date.
Yeah, it reached nearly 1.4 million viewers overall.
And they mentioned Twitter again, because yes, we get it. Doctor Who was big on Twitter that day.
Yep.
We get it. It's
Well,
trending.
they were pimping it for Twitter. They had all this hashtag stuff going on. For, you know, it was on BBC America when you were watching it. It was in the lower left-hand corner. It was, you know, I'm like, Jesus.
Wasn't there? I think it was Day of the Doctor where wasn't there a commercial where Matt Smith was going on and on about hashtags?
Something like that. I found it ironic at the time because we had just done that anniversary episode a little bit ago about that was or the anniversary, one of the
yes, Babelsphere.
Yes. So I found that suddenly very amusing.
For the time.
We'll get so trapped up talking in Twitter about Doctor Who that Tom Baker will have to come and save us.
All in a day's work.
That was Canada, and then we have Australia. I just noticed the link there is overnight ratings. Let's see if it includes the regular ratings as well.
If you can find them.
Not left back up. Oh, the Dalek ratings. What the hell did I do?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Apparently nothing.
Wow, what are you reading here, Bill?
Wow, they actually
let me
got... Yeah, that's why they got the overnights.
Let me go get the proper deep breath Australian. If you know, my browser will stop having a mind of its own. I guess it's trying not to be a soldier.
I'm not seeing anything.
Here, I'm about to link it now, and here we go. Overnight Australian ratings for Deep Breath and Australian simulcasts will continue. So they're getting every episode at the same time as Britain, I guess, now, based on that headline. Deep Breath had 1.187 million national viewers, so that means more than Canada. These figures include the 5 major capital cities and as well as regional and rural viewers.
Oh, Echo.
Hello, Echo.
Who's echoing? Okay, it stopped.
I stopped the echoing. Yay!
The 4:50 a.m. simulcast with the UK averaged 260,000 national viewers. So that's a fair amount for 4:50 a.m.
Yeah, considering the fact that they had to stay up till 6 in the morning to finish that.
Yeah. Or get up at like 4.
And that was that's on the other side of the international date line, so that would have been on a Monday morning.
Sunday morning. No, wait. Yeah, it would have been Sunday morning.
Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Okay, I did that wrong.
Either way, still. Ugh.
Now, mind you,
And
I would
then
do that, but I'm not exactly, a
Yeah.
poster boy for sanity.
Well, we take our sleeps through standing cat naps. I don't know why I said
Really wish I
sleeps
could have
was like-
last week.
I could have
Alright,
last
and
week. That was
our,
burnt.
I
Our
think
last
the
bit of
last
deep
things I
breath
said
news.
before my head hit the pillow on Monday was I could see purple, or I could taste purple.
Oh.
Flop. It was bad.
And our last bit of oh wait, that was Into the Dalek. Okay, so apparently I did not see a deep breath AI number. I don't know. Okay, so I guess Into the Dalek has an AI number of 84. Let's see if Deep Breath had one that I apparently missed, because apparently I cannot tell titles.
Yeah, you're constantly putting
I'm-
into the Dalek with our deep breath.
I'm clearly not Titleist. I'm clearly not Titleist.
I'm gonna check the rest of these and make sure they're right.
The
Robot
rest of
Sherwood
these-
trailer. And Pierre
I'm sure somebody
Capaldi.
would have noticed if other AI. Okay, Deep Breath. Here we go. Here's the Deep Breath AI, which was 82.
And you just posted us the overnights again.
What the? Okay, that's.
You just posted the Australian overnights
I'm
again,
used-
yes.
I mean,
Wow, Bill, what are you doing?
I don't know why it did that, but I right click. I clicked it properly. I blame the computer.
I blame the previous chancellor.
I've seen your computer, Bill, and I can believe it.
Actually,
Wow.
yeah, now that I happen to think of that. Oh my. Oh my.
So was it Deep Breath had an 82, and what did we just see Into the Dalek have?
I think also an 82.
84, I think. Was it? Oh no, Into the Dalek had an 84.
84, okay.
Yeah, so
Marginally better according to their appreciation numbers.
yep.
Interesting.
And I can believe it, because I'm pretty sure the general buzz has been that Into the Dalek was liked more than Deep Breath for what each of them were.
Yep. Sorta.
All right, and our last bit of news is a return of Doctor Who at the awards. In this case, Peter Capaldi won by GQ as TV Personality of the Year.
I think it's becoming a tradition that the new Doctor always receives awards an award at GQ.
Yeah,
Gentlemen
mentioned that
Quarterly.
Matt Smith won Best Actor in 2010. Although I think his season might have actually happened by this time of that year. Am I wrong?
What's that?
What
It might
month
have.
did
It might have been.
2010. I believe that was 2010.
Yeah. And Matt Smith also won Most Stylish Man in 2011. So maybe that's what Capaldi's getting next year.
I have to
I
say
don't
I
know.
like his coat.
Well, then again, you look at what Matt Smith wore, and I wouldn't consider that award-winning for stylish. Although the man did single-handedly bring bow ties back for a few years.
He did borrow an outfit from I'm trying to remember which episode was it. Was it Delta and the Bannerman? Fez and Mop?
I don't
Might have
know.
been Delta and the Bannerman.
At least
Either way.
Capaldi didn't steal his new outfit from a hospital.
No, the next Doctor will.
It's gotta happen once in
It's
a
become a
while.
tradition. Every second or third Doctor has to.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the next one; it'd be the one after.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was what 3,
3 did it.
3, 8,
8
11.
didn't.
Was there anything in between?
I'm trying to figure that out. We don't know where 9 got his.
Right.
7 got his from the TARDIS. 6
Yeah, I
got
think 4, 5, and 6 all got them from the TARDIS.
yeah.
Although speaking of the 12th Doctor's outfit, I have to mention, I've been sitting like for the past year. I've been wondering when we're going to get another black and white Doctor outfit wise. If you take away the strange way that he likes to show off the underside of his jacket, we would have another black and white dressed Doctor.
You mean his tuxedo mask markings? Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's a jacket, not a cape.
You
Can't it-
obviously didn't see those pictures circulating the internet, did you, Matt?
What, the finger pointing? I have that. It's in our opening credits.
Can't it be a capet or a jape?
All right.
I'm just gonna sit here
So,
with my face in my hand.
So I think somebody might be doing a summary.
Market it. Yes.
So we're done then?
We're done with the news. Yes, we're going on to the summary. Does anybody want to do the summary? Or shall I go ahead?
I believe
Go
I did the
ahead,
last
I
one,
say.
so go ahead.
All right. All right, so we start out with a spaceship under attack by basically your stereotypical Dalek mothership that we have now seen in like every season since the first reboot. It's calling distress, calling for help, and doesn't seem to be getting any reply. The pilot is a woman, and next to her is somebody who is in very bad shape, if not dead already. She sends out one final distress, and then there's basically a huge explosion, and she comes to in the console room of the TARDIS. She's by herself. Well, at least that we can see. Yeah, the person that was next to her is not there. And she then sees the Doctor. She then promptly pulls out her gun and threatens him to take her back to her mothership. The Doctor's not having any of this. She wants to know where her brother is, and by the Doctor's insinuation, he didn't make it. He was killed in the explosion if he wasn't dead already. Yada, yada, yada. The Doctor refuses to do anything until she asks him politely, with a please, to take her back to the ship. He then proceeds to turn around and do so. And after dropping her off, they basically threaten to kill him immediately for knowing where they are. The lady manages to stop this, stating that he has a doctor, and they have a patient. The patient turns out to be a Dalek. And the Dalek wants to kill other Daleks.
What a
We then
twist.
cut back to Coal Hill School after our opening credits, and we see Clara and new person Danny Pink. Danny Pink is busy drilling a lot of the boys out in the yard before he comes in and starts his class. One of the students interrupts his class by asking if he's ever killed anyone. He responds, yes, he's a soldier. He's had to kill people. They modify their question, has he ever killed anyone that's not a soldier? And he pushes that off to the side and assigns homework. Shortly thereafter, he's introduced to Clara, and they try to start a dialogue. I do say try, because Clara makes a couple of gaffes that hurts Danny's feelings, after he mentions he's the more modern type of soldier, she jokes that, as he's the kind that shoots people and then cries about it, he seems to take umbrage at this. Clara then tries to invite him out to a party, and he basically says no and pushes it off. Afterwards, he's regretting this, though we are seeing both her asking and his regretting it simultaneously through directorial management. But Clara's there, overhears his regrets, and manages to talk him into going out with her for a night. Clara goes back to one of the side areas of the school and bumps into the Doctor, holding coffee. she mentions that he had sent him for coffee 3 weeks ago in Glasgow. Dr. says he can get distracted by things and motions are to come. And we go back to the ship, where they are prepping to fix this Dalek. The way they're going to fix this Dalek is they're going to send a team miniaturized inside the Dalek casing, find out what's wrong, and repair it. This already seemed like a remarkably bad idea to me, but they continued on. The Doctor didn't seem exactly thrilled either, but was going through with it. So the miniaturization works without anybody dying. They go in through the eyepiece, oddly enough. After a few 60s-ish trippy effects, they wind up inside the Dalek, who the Doctor promptly renames Rusty when he's talking to it on the inside. He points out the memory vault, the Dalek's basically backup brain, which I think was established in the previous season. He then looks down, and you can see the various, what looks like cables stretching through the innards of the Dalek, and the Doctor notes that not all of those are cables. Some of them are tentacles. Shortly after saying this, one of the soldiers, realizing they have to go down there, fires a grappling gun down into the Dalek to essentially slide down on. This turns out to be a very bad idea, as it triggers the antibodies inside the Dalek. The Doctor tosses the man something, and the man, hoping that would save him, swallows what seems to be a small pill, but is actually just a spare battery from the Doctor's sonic screwdriver. And the Doctor has no intention of saving the man, instead to trace where they send his remains, because feeding tubes are apparently unguarded. So after doing this and dealing with the angry repercussions of the surviving members, the Doctor crawls through the feeding tubes, finds a bolt hole, literally, and crawls into the innards of the Dalek. While this is going on, they ask, why? Why did the Dalek change his mind from being a standard Dalek to being somebody that wants to kill the other Daleks? And the answer is, he saw beauty. He saw the birth of a star and realized that resistance was futile and that the Daleks had been going about everything all wrong. So the Doctor carries on, and they notice as they're going on that their Geiger counter is spiking because apparently the Dalek is suffering a trionic radiation leak. The Doctor goes deeper in to the point where the maximum discovers that the Dalek's trionic battery is leaking badly. He fixes it, and as a result, the Dalek promptly reactivates and goes through the standard Dalek mantra, powers up its weapons, and starts killing humans. When everyone asks what's going on, the Doctor says he tried, it didn't work. All they had done was fix the broken Dalek, and now they have a Dalek. Clara goes off and slaps the Doctor for this comment, and talks him into thinking, well, if they had a good Dalek once, they could do it again. So the Doctor thinks about it for a moment, but the problem is they're now at the bottom of the Dalek, and to change things, Clara, at the very least, needs to be at the top. And the Doctor needs to be with the mutant itself. One of the soldiers that had gone with them sacrifices herself to get Clara and the soldier we first met. Does anybody remember her name?
I can't remember.
Blue.
Journey Blue.
Oh, Blue.
Journey Blue.
Journey
Blue.
Blue.
Yeah.
So gets Clara and Journey to the top of the Dalek, where Clara begins to start reactivating portions of the memory vault, which had blocked the memories to the Dalek mutant. Meanwhile, the Doctor crawls up to the mutant and starts engaging him in conversation. As they go through, Clara finds the memories of the exploding star, and the Doctor hooks himself up into the Dalek's memories, and the Dalek sees the star again and sees things from the Doctor's perspective. It sees beauty, divinity, and hatred. It turns him back to destroying the other Daleks. While the Dalek had been attacking the humans, it had sent a message to its fellow Daleks who are now attacking the ship on force, pretty much Star Wars A New Hope style. The Dalek then turns on them, killing the Daleks that were attacking, but deciding he must return to the ships to get rid of the remaining Daleks. The Doctor, who had been hoping, after Clara's talking to him at the bottom, that they could turn this into a good, moral Dalek, has realized this is the best he can deal with, that he can get out of this Dalek, and they leave the Dalek as fast as they can. Afterwards, the Doctor said he had hoped for a good Dalek. The Dalek said he is not a good Dalek, that the Doctor would be a good Dalek. And thus said he travels back to the Dalek mothership and blows it up, causing a self-destruct. The humans are safe, and the Doctor makes a swift retreat back to the TARDIS. Journey tries to accompany Clara back to the TARDIS with the Doctor, but the Doctor says he might have considered it if she hadn't been a soldier. Thus said, the Doctor brings Clara back to the present, where she then takes Danny Pink out for said drink. End of the episode. All right. Wow, we have an hour and a half to do discussion.
Ooh.
Thereabouts. Actually, let me double check on that a little bit here. Actually, that's right. We're gonna have to cut off a bunch from the front, anyways.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah.
Actually, we should probably try to wrap this up about 30 minutes earlier because we lost some bit of our footage last week.
Oh, it's not that, but we have to literally cut this at the 2-hour mark.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise, Twitch is going to be giving us multiple parts.
Yes, but it wasn't. We still lost some of our footage last week, and should go over that either at the beginning of this episode or the end of it. So.
Okay.
Well, I'll actually probably, if I have to alone, even we'll cover the very end of the footage we are missing from last week.
So wait, Twitch cuts you off after 2 hours?
For uploading to YouTube, yes. And we'll make a multiple
yeah,
part.
that's right. Yeah.
Exactly at the 2-hour mark.
All right. So, anyway, where are we going to start with this?
I had a question.
Yeah.
I've only been into Doctor Who for recently. I haven't been a lifelong fan, but I've been into it long enough to ask this question. The concept of a good Dalek, that to me seems like it could be one of those potential base-breaking things like midichlorians or an immortal killing another immortal on holy ground, that sort of thing. Just the very
depends upon how they go about it.
In the past, ever since I would say 1967.
Are you thinking of the human factor Daleks?
I am.
No, we're talking straight Dalek. No mods.
Hmm.
And no, in that case, there has never been a good Dalek. It's been an oxymoron.
What was the Dalek with a soul in 2007? That came across way too Buffy, but whatever.
In 2007, what are you talking about?
Evolution of the Daleks.
Again, that's kind of a human factor
Yeah,
Dalek.
you're right. Damn it. Okay, you're right. My mistake.
You failed again, Bill. No cookie.
Well, that's how brainstorming works.
No cookie for you.
But no, Genesis of the Daleks showed us that basically Davros, who created them, basically removed all emotions from the Dalek except hate. Apparently, in doing that, he's also managed to leave fear, because there's obviously the Daleks fear the Doctor on some level. But there's, basically they were built to be ruthlessly evil. So the concept of good Dalek is an oxymoron, and that's kind of the Doctor's perspective throughout most of this episode, is you can't have a good Dalek, it's not possible.
Although I kind of like the Dalek's response to that is like, no, you're a good Dalek. And that is a line that's been discussed because it can go either way. It can either be read as the same thing that Dalek was saying to him in Dalek, where he would make a good Dalek because he's capable of that sort of, single-minded hatred, even though he only focuses it toward two species that I can think of. Whereas it can also be read as saying, no, you're what a Dalek whose moral alignment was good would be.
See, I thought that too, and Rand said no, he thought it was how it was read during the Dalek, so it's nice to know that it can be read both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it very easily could.
He does say you are rather than you would make or you would be. So that's, I think, worth noting.
Yeah. My reaction on it was based on the Doctor's immediate reaction to that line, which was he immediately had to withdraw to the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't seem to take it as a compliment. He seemed to take it almost in the same way Eccleston took it back in 2005.
Yes, but even, if you were told, no, you're what a morally good Dalek would be, that essentially means that you're a cockroach who's good. You're a cockroach that kills everything but also doesn't die. So maybe not a cockroach at all. But either way, I don't think so.
If you said that differently, that would have been a great 11th Doctor line.
Yeah, it would.
But yeah, I see what you mean. It's just hard to tell because my thought is the reaction. He takes it as if it was a very negative comment.
Well, that's the usual Doctor's thinking, though, is that he thought one way, but it could definitely be read multiple different ways.
That, and the Doctor was kind of depressed from the past few minutes anyway, so he wasn't exactly in a even a compliment that he would like to take, and he wasn't exactly in a state of mind to take it as a compliment.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's going to come up again, but I think we'll see.
We would have to wait and see, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to buy it as a compliment yet. So, all right, what else do we want to talk about this episode?
Well, and talking about the Dalek, we skipped the fact that we have a brand new recurring character, possibly companion, in this episode.
Possibly, yes.
Yes.
With the wonderful last name of Pink.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, who's an ex-soldier. Now, I'm going to ask you. You know how horribly they will riff on somebody in the military. Imagine if you were in the military with a last name like Pink.
Yeah.
Imagine what your drill sergeant would have come up with on that.
You better be the most badass guy in your entire platoon.
I'm not sure that would have even save you, man.
Well, if people are scared to make fun of you, then less people will make fun of you.
Still, it's not going to stop a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I don't know all that much about the British Armed Forces, so...
I'm pretty sure they're no better than ours.
I don't know that much.
I'm saying, yeah, I wouldn't say drill sergeant, I'm saying from in general. Like, basic training only lasts a few months. It's not your major concern unless your name is Gomer Pyle.
Pyle?
All I remember is, I think, a bit from Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Today we're going to be marching up and down
the square. Stop looking up there like you haven't seen the hand of God before.
Oh my God. So many good lines.
And I take it less to you like to go out and see the pictures. Yeah. All right, all of you go. just the drill sergeant marching up and down the square.
Matt obviously knew the reference. Okay. So,
Cricket's
Danny
chirp.
Pink. What do we know about him? He was a soldier.
He might have killed an
know-
innocent
we-
civilian.
We know that you shoot people and then cry about it later involves remarks about, what did he say? Either I didn't think anybody knew or I didn't think they told anyone, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously something happened in his past, probably related to killing somebody he didn't intend to, and I would guess it probably caused his retirement.
Case of mistaken identity, maybe.
Or something of the like, yeah.
Yeah. Or innocent bystander caught in the crossfire or something like that.
Yeah, we don't know. It will probably be revealed over the course of the series, as they're making a rather big deal about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or it'll just lead to nowhere.
If we are talking about Moffat here, yeah.
Yeah, but
it is a Moffat line. I'm pretty
This
sure
is the
that
character
scene was
introduction,
largely written by Moffat and added into the existing script.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I remember hearing somebody mention that and Stephen Moffat had been added last minute to the credits. I didn't notice it myself. Did anyone see that?
I
What was
didn't
that?
realize it. I would have to rewatch my copy on the DVR.
Actually, I have a copy open on my screen right now. Let me back up to the opening credits. But yeah, that's the character introduction. That's pretty much, that's what his character is based on. So at the very least, it's going to be referenced in some way, if not explicitly.
Yeah, most likely.
That's just like, Mickey's relationship with Rose was a keystone of his character and created something, regardless, of
Yeah,
what it
but at the
meant
same
or
time,
didn't
again,
because
we
of
are
the
talking
thing.
about Moffat here.
What else do
The
we know
man who
about
forgets to
Mickey?
mention that Skyro came back.
Oh, yes. It does say Into the Dalek by Phil Ford and Stephen Moffat. And I'm not
Okay.
sure if it's the background color, like the placement and such, based on the graphics, or if my eyes are playing tricks on me, or if Stephen Moffat's name is actually a font size larger than Phil Ford's.
Ouch.
Just to fill his ego.
It's hard to tell. I'd have to pull it into Photoshop to see.
Well, it reminds me of the latest Tom Clancy novels, where it's Tom Clancy such and such, written by such and Tom Clancy. And you know that the such and such is the one that did 99% of the writing, and Tom Clancy just glanced at it and said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And who's making all the money off those books? Tom Clancy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes, but to be fair, that means that the second person is probably making more money than they would have otherwise because of Tom Clancy's name slapped on it.
That's also
Yeah.
partially true.
It's like when you throw Steven Spielberg's name onto a movie when he is too busy to actually have anything to do with it to sell more copies.
Did
Or
Steven
tickets, yeah.
Spielberg
Tom Clancy died.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
I thought Tom Clancy was the
Are
character
you
myself. So I don't
talking
know.
about, I think Angela's right.
Hmm.
No, he died October 1st, 2013.
Oh.
Oh, I missed it.
A lot of us missed it.
I wasn't in a real good place at the time, so.
October last year? Yeah, it was kind of chaotic. All kinds of things going off all at once last year.
I pulled it up in Photoshop, and it was just a trick of the graphics that made Ford's name look smaller. He was near lighter things, while Moffat had a straight black background, made it look bigger.
Mm.
But the
Probably
names are the
because they
same
had to
size.
paste it on after it was already done. Moffat had to go, wait a minute, why isn't my name on that? I'm not getting enough recognition.
So that means that means almost the entire season has an, let's see, we've got episode 1 by Stephen Moffat, double length. Episode 2, and Stephen Moffat. Episode 3, Gaddis, which basically means and Stephen Moffat. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 are and Moffat. He takes 7, 8, and 9 off. 7, 8, 9, and 10 off, and then has 2 scripts by himself at the end of the season. 3 if you.
And we don't know Stephen Moffat won't have his name tacked on to 7, 8, 9 by the time it gets there.
True.
Because he could also be adding in stuff at random too.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest part that he might be adding on to get the and Stephen Moffat is probably the leaking like heaven stuff.
That and
I think the stuff with Danny he probably got to do with,
maybe
considering he's the script editor, he has to have a lot to do with that.
If he's actually doing his job.
If it's in there, hopefully that means he's actually editing people's scripts, which will be a first.
This would mean that Vampires in Venice is the first companion intro that is not written or co-written on screen, at least, by Stephen Moffat. And I think Vampires in Venice wasn't all that much to it anyway. So
no, it was kind of a forgettable episode.
Rory had already been established.
Yeah.
He had appeared. I don't think he'd been established. We had met him.
He was in 11th hour for most of the episode. He was established.
Amy wasn't established until The Beast Below. She had appeared, but she wasn't established. We didn't know we didn't know what kind of a character she was until The Beast Below. So I would not say.
You mean there's development for Rory? Since when? He was always spineless. He was badass for only one episode, and that was a Moffat episode.
If you're going by that as a basis, Bill, Rory wasn't established until the finale.
Yeah. Which again might be why Stephen Moffat wrote Danny's intro.
Yay.
Yeah, but I am curious to see if all of this about the killing and soldier and stuff
does go somewhere. I'm also kind of wondering why they have a cadet program for young children in this school, unless that's a British thing, because I know
it is a British thing.
It is a British thing.
High school.
It is a British thing.
Gotcha.
Go back to Human Nature, Family of Blood.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, but okay.
That was the old version of it.
That was also World War One.
Pre-World War
One time period. It was post-Victorian rather than modern day.
Edwardian. That was the Edwardian age.
Gotcha.
Yes.
But yeah, that's been schooling kids to learn that kind of stuff has, as far as I am aware, has been a common thing.
Yeah, it's a very common thing in England, and that kind of dealing in private schools hasn't changed that much.
And this is technically a private school, I believe.
Technically speaking, all schools, it's their definition of public school and private school is a lot different from ours.
Mm.
Yep. That's interesting.
The more you know.
I had to look this stuff up before, and it got me confused. I got confuzzled. Because by the looks of things, their definition of a private school seems to be more of our definition of a public school, and vice versa. Made no sense.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
Anyone in the audience knows a little more about that? Feel free to comment.
Anyway, though, I mean, he seems to be. Well, the other thing we know about Danny Pink is he's pretty much socially awkward around women.
A little bit, yes.
Or at least around Clara. I don't think we've seen him around other women. Well, he's been around found that the secretary or whatever the hell she is. I
That's
don't know what that
right.
lady is.
He was very cool and collected with her, but it seems Clara was the one he started really regretting.
What did you think about the directorial style of having basically his ruiing how he handled the conversation with Clara and the conversation with Clara happening simultaneously?
I've seen it before. I don't mind it.
That was interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's
I thought it was
a very
appropriate for a show
classic.
about time travel.
It's a very
Yeah.
classic sitcom style thing, which is something that both RTD and Moffat done a lot to bring to Doctor Who is sitcom and soap opera stylings to make it a bit more accessible to the mainstream compared to what it was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
As to good or bad, I mean, I think it was carried out okay. I don't think it was, I think it could have done without it, but I don't think it was hurt by that either.
Okay.
I think they should have gone a little farther with it so that it made more sense, because it's, I think, the only scene I can think of in Doctor Who other than, a suspenseful exposition to do that.
Whoa.
Bill, we're
So I
losing
do
you.
think
Yeah,
they've
we're
done
losing you in a
little bit more
horrible
with
way.
it just to, how much are you losing me?
You completely blanked out for a second or two.
We were getting about every other syllable there for like half that conversation.
So okay, so I'm going to guess that when you were cracking up earlier, it was my connection rather than either of yours. I was wondering about that.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I'm hearing Matt fine.
What was the last thing
I
you
know
had
I'm
to say?
hearing Aaron fine because there's technically no internet between me and Aaron, just a wireless connection.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing Tim fine, so the only one I'm not hearing good is you, so it has to be your connection.
Well,
And just as you point that out, his connection completely bottoms out.
Haha! Theory proven.
Crash.
We've lost him.
You have forced the issue and we lost the bill.
Yes.
You see, Watson, I was correct.
Oi. Let's see here. What time do we have
Just
on
to
this?
put a little more Sherlock Holmes back in our Doctor Who.
Yes. Say, if the Doctor became a cow, would he be Doctor Moo?
Oddcon thought so.
Yeah, Odyssey Con. We actually went to a convention.
Where there was a cow doctor and it was Dr. Moo.
That was the theme for that year.
For that convention.
I believe next year is zombie survival or something like that.
The Grazing Dead.
The
The Grazing Dead.
Oh, so that would be Doctor Goo.
Yeah. It's not a glue convention.
am I
You
back?
know, I'm
None of those
thinking of
things
the
actually
various
exist.
possibilities for that, and I'm trying not to now.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can, yes. Hello. Welcome back.
We were talking about glue conventions.
Yes.
Face palm.
This is what happens when I'm gone. Did the glue conventions come from something?
Dr. Moo.
Completely a side note by Tim.
Combining cows
Yeah.
with Doctor Who.
But anyway, so yeah, we don't know much else about Danny Pink at the moment, do we?
Not particularly, no.
The first time I saw Danny Pink on screen, I wasn't sure if he was human or if he was like one of those alien fighters until I saw Clara, because I wasn't sure like where we were.
Alien fighters.
The first thought through my mind is, oh look, we've got a new Ricky.
You mean Mickey?
Yeah, I think I thought that too. I was just like, oh, look, they're actually going to hopefully fully pursue an interracial couple. Instead of, splitting them up and having them be with same races.
Hey, Amy and Rory were interracial. One of them was plastic.
Only some of the time.
Only some of the time, Bill. Not all the time.
Yeah, they still had to create Melanie. Or Melody.
And remember, the world restarted, so technically he wasn't plastic after the world restarted. But he could remember being plastic.
Because everything had to be remembered, including the doctor.
Mm-hmm. Although if they could remember him being plastic, wouldn't that have made him plastic?
No, it just means that the memory of it was there.
Yeah, I think so.
And on the next episode, when Rory wound up back in time to pursue a new career as Plastic Man.
Oh.
It's better than Stretch Armstrong.
I have to say that Doctor Who is probably one of the primary shows where most of the men introduced are primarily a love interest to the main character rather than the other way around. And granted, that's okay, there is a bit of an issue where a lot of companions were a love interest to the male main character, but I think it's more the other way.
Mind you, that's more of a new Who thing than a classic Who thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, you had Jamie and Victoria, but they weren't an actual couple.
No.
There was some tension between them, and I think also Jamie
Yeah,
and Zoe. Maybe.
Ben and Polly was probably the one you could make the strongest argument for being a couple. After that, probably Ian and Barbara, then Jamie and Victoria.
I would actually say Ian and Barbara are the number one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you could actually... They were pretty much together the entire time they were on the show.
More than
always.
Ben and Polly? Because Ian and Barbara were colleagues, whereas Ben and Polly I thought were clearly a couple when they came on the TARDIS.
I didn't think so.
It kind of seemed like they were at least very enthralled with each other when they first got in the TARDIS.
Well, you also had to remember it was the 60s.
Yes.
It was the late 60s.
Their form of argument seemed more like a couple than anything else.
We got to see them quite a bit in that particular episode of The War Machines. I'm pretty sure they were a couple. If they weren't a couple, they were very close to becoming a couple anyway.
I wasn't sure, because I thought...
They hung out together for an entire night alone.
Again, it's the 60s.
I'm just saying.
Did they meet in the bar?
It was the late 60s.
In the War Machines?
My judgment was more... My judgment to that was more based on their dialogue. They spoke like a couple, too. At least that's how I understood it. They argued like a couple.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. But, well, you see, the thing I'd always seen...
I'm being paranoid.
You're breaking up again, Bill.
You really gotta do something about that connection, Bill.
The thing I had seen about
I was wondering because I couldn't tell if
There he goes again.
Bye.
He goes
Bye,
again.
Bill.
But no, the thing about Ian and Barbara, I had always seen them as two people that were attracted to each other in the workplace, but were denying it. And then, as they were thrown into this impossible situation, they learned not to deny it.
They'd never really said they were a thing, though.
All Doctor Who canon that we've seen thus far has established that they were still together years later. They were mentioned in the Sarah Jane Adventures as one of the people that Sarah Jane had looked up that had been companions of the Doctor. And that they were teaching at a college, I believe, or had retired from teaching at a college. But they were mentioned together.
this. He's okay. Bill's gonna restart.
Okay.
But yeah, Ian and Barbara, they definitely seem like they could have the possibility of being a couple, but they never really had anything official pop up on screen.
By the way, while I'm restarting, I'm going to try to see if it works any better. It's better just doing Skype through my phone. No idea if it will or not.
Well,
No,
you're
it's
coming in
not
clear so
possible.
far.
Oh, maybe you will be okay. We've had meetings where we've tried to do that. That's not worked too well, but maybe it will be fine for you.
He is trying to connect to the call, not actually host the call. Is also a major difference on that.
Bucky's trying to chew on my earpiece. On my headphones.
Yeah,
You don't want him to do that because he's already destroyed one pair of your headphones.
Not to mention if he gets an unavailable wire, but anyway. Besides naughty cats. Should we move on then?
yeah, I think we've said most of what we have to say about Danny, at least at this early point in his career. I'm sure we'll have more to say over the next few weeks.
Okay, so what's next? Okay, so we're apparently now in the midst of another Dalek-human war.
Apparently. At least
We
for
don't
this
know
one,
if
we
this
ended up
is-
in one.
The
It's-
humans are rebels, which stood out to me because the only thing I can think of where the humans lived in territory occupied by Daleks, unless they're actually Thals that look like humans, would be a Fifth Doctor audio that I listened to that came out a few years back, and I doubt that they were dipping that far into the pool for sources.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Did we actually get a time frame that this happened in?
No.
I don't recall. I don't think so.
My guess, considering the co-writer, is 51st century. In fact, I would actually be shocked if this is not the 51st century.
Yeah, the TARDIS data core doesn't give us a time frame.
Which is unusual. I would assume it's around the same time as the constantly eluding fight with the Cybermen would be my guess, because these
No,
people were at least
it's not
decently
the
outfitted
dialogue,
for
it's-
fighting. Because I guarantee you, other than Cybermen, there's a lot of other nasty
Well,
menaces that other humans have to worry about out there. I think Bill's going again.
Well, they're rebels, so I imagine.
The combined galactic resistance was an alliance headed by humanity to fight the Dalek invasion of the galaxy. But again, doesn't give time.
So apparently this is an actual front against the Daleks.
Mm-hmm. So technically, it's not just a human resistance, it's probably a multiracial task force.
We just happen to have put across one that's mostly human.
Right. But again, there's no time frame. We know it's not the 21st century because the humans hadn't left Earth by then, according to the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the 22nd century, then?
Likewise, I don't think it's the 51st century unless the 51st century has been rewritten. And if the 51st century has been rewritten, does Captain Jack Harkness still exist?
All very good questions, none of which Moffat is concerned with.
But
I guarantee you.
we honestly don't know when this is. We didn't get enough of an idea of technology to figure out when it would be either.
Yeah. So time frame unsure. No reason to keep beating the horse on that one. It's just clearly not stated, and we have no sure time frame.
It seems fairly grim, and they mention, of course, that there are duplicates, because they suspect the Doctor of being one at the beginning. And that's something that goes back to Resurrection of the Daleks, the fifth Doctor.
That's also something Daleks have been capable of.
Yeah, it's been something that Daleks have been capable of for quite a while previously.
It does, but it doesn't have to be at that same period of time, because it's also something they used in in Asylum of the Daleks. They use that in the present day, or at least sent them back time traveling to the present day.
Something sort of like that, yeah.
It's weird. Asylum itself is weird.
Yeah.
Because you've got more like assimilated humans.
Which they have used a couple more times since. Which still doesn't make that much sense.
No.
It would have been just better to make the humanoid duplicates. Why would you do something as silly as have a human with a Dalek thing sticking out of their forehead? It kind of makes them a giant target.
I still say Asylum would have made a crapload more sense if they'd used Cybermen instead of Daleks.
Yes, it would have. A lot more sense.
Anyway.
Other than Bill playing musical Skype.
The rest of the episode kind of hits me as a hybrid of Fantastic Voyage and The Invisible Enemy. And only Classic Who people are going to remember what the Invisible Enemy is. It was a Tom Baker episode back during the era with Leela, in which the Doctor is infected by this microscopic entity called the Swarm, and he basically has to duplicate himself, miniaturize himself, and go inside his own brain to fight it off.
Yeah.
Oh, sort of like that episode of Futurama.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you can probably bet that the Futurama episode came after they watched that episode of Doctor Who. It's well known that Groening and a lot of the other people that are behind the production of Futurama are Doctor Who fans.
Yes, both on Futurama and as well as on The Simpsons, they have frequently referenced the Fourth Doctor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
they're Fourth Doctor fans. It's not surprising.
So yeah, the Worm episode probably stemmed from them watching The Invisible Enemy. There's too many similarities. And Fantastic Voyage, because,
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic Voyage was a thing.
The story that started the whole miniaturization concept. I'm pretty sure that Doctor Who episode stemmed from the writers either reading or watching Fantastic Voyage.
Quite possibly. So that being said, the miniaturization story, I think that worked out pretty well, although there's a few rather overly grim parts for no apparent reason.
How'd the special effects hit you?
I like the psychedelics when they first entered the Dalek. That was kind of amusing.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They entered through the eyepiece. Wouldn't that have been a solid lens?
It seemed like they were going through like a really thick gel or something.
Yeah.
Is what I got out of that, at least.
Yeah. That's what they seemed. I mean, but yeah, if you've always looked at Dalek eyepieces, they were always looked like solid lenses.
I mean, for all we know, they may not have been. It's...
It could just be that really thick gel that looks like a solid lens.
And at the same time, wouldn't you think it would have been easier just to pump them in through that frickin' grate, that grill that's,
around the
below
neck?
The headpiece? Yeah.
Depends on what's in there.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have been able to do that psychedelic effect moving through gel thing.
Oh man, psychedelics, man.
It was very 60s.
Yeah.
You gotta let the coolness in.
And as I mentioned at the beginning, then we get to see the memory vault, which was established in Asylum of the Daleks and had never been heard from before.
But
as
at
this
least we're
backup.
using it again. At least it didn't completely come out of nowhere this time.
True. Although last we saw it, the Doctor had erased it, had Oswald, or was it Oswin, whoever, erase him from the entries in the vault. Does that mean he's actually back in the memory vault now?
I think so, because he got re-entered during the fight at what's it called? Ugh. God, my brain keeps hemorrhaging names, even names I should know by now. Christmas. Time of the Doctor.
Oh, Trenzalore.
The 1100 years of Trenzalore.
Yeah, obviously they have a huge backing up, not only from personal people history, but also from their own experiences at Trenzalore. They should have more memory of him now.
Mm-hmm.
So the Doctor tried to erase himself from history. Didn't work.
Didn't work. He wanted to take a break. Didn't happen.
He tried to erase himself from history 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it never works. They keep throwing that as often into our faces as they do trying to kill the Doctor. Moffat, come up with something new. The Doctor can't hide, and he also isn't going to die.
I think he tried to do it in the RTD era a couple times, but it was a little more subtle.
The virus wants to wipe out all reference of him. And it was apparently used because somebody tried to access information on it before, and it was corrupted because of something called the Bad Wolf virus.
Ah, yes.
A virus I believe the Doctor himself created.
Yeah.
The Doctor is not bad. Well, unless Bad Wolf created it.
No, he actually left the virus with Mickey to try and wipe out all information about himself.
I'm trying to remember when he did that.
That was the end of World War III.
So it was during the cycle. Therefore, the name of the virus itself probably got corrupted by Bad Wolf.
Probably.
But regardless, apparently, although the Doctor did seem surprised when the Dalek immediately said "Doctor" in the way very akin to how it was done in Dalek. But his thought was, "How do you know who I am?" I wasn't sure if he was meaning with his face or at all. So,
I would assume with that face, because that face is relatively new to all of this.
Yeah. But then again, the second face the Doctor wore, the Daleks already knew who he was when he met them too, so...
Well, they kept throwing out his name, so obviously they linked everything together themselves.
Anyway, I had a couple of beefs with the Doctor's behavior in this episode.
Yes, which was what I was starting to go to as well.
Okay, what were your beefs? Let's see if they match my beefs.
WTF with the tossing that battery to that guy and making it look like it's going to help him.
Yes. It was so against the way the Doctor has acted every time we've seen him before.
That's something even the 6th Doctor would look at and go, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. And, it's... I understand if the Doctor, couldn't save him, but would at least say that, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything."
Yeah, he would at least try to apologize profusely before even trying to dump something like that on the guy.
Yeah.
And even
I think what he said instead was, "Trust me."
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I think it's all leading up to something, but that's just me.
Oh,
it
so
might be,
but
I think there's also part of it is that there's been a running theme throughout New Who and possibly even older that the Daleks bring out the darker side of the Doctor, and that might be what we're seeing here as well.
I'm also kind of thinking at the same time that the first Doctor was very unattached to his human companions, and this could be another bit of it too, since this is the very first regeneration of a new cycle.
Either way, though, you would think, having 2,000 plus years of knowledge behind him, that tact would have at least have a little bit of factoring in here.
Well,
And
also,
instead,
he's very new to this spy
he
yet.
seems to use the old standby of "trust me, I'm the doctor," and then kind of rescinds on it, and that just hit me as very, very wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does come off as very wrong.
Now, later on, there's another scene where somebody is going to die. And the way that one's handled is almost textbook Doctor.
Yes. That one was a little bit better handled. The
Right.
woman obviously knew she was going to die for this, and she just wanted to try and hope for the best despite what she knew was going to happen to her.
And there you see the remorse, and you see the caring that you expect from the Doctor.
Almost as if there were two different writers.
Which wrote which?
I really
Good
just want it
question.
to be, something that has to do with maybe the Doctor turning evil. Although it's kind of a fan fiction-y concept.
It is. Having the Doctor do a face heel turn.
Well, then the Time Lords can go back at the end of the season and put him on trial against himself.
Yeah. We could do a
Thing
rehash
is-
of Trial of the Time Lord.
Oh,
Hey,
like
Colin-
that
Colin-
really did well ratings-wise before.
Hey,
Colin
we'll
would get to
upgrade
come-
it.
It doesn't stop them from rehashing crap to begin with.
Colin would get to come back for an episode.
Woo! Trollface!
Introducing Peter Capaldi as the Valyard.
Yeah.
Dun,
No,
dun,
you know-
dun, dun.
What would be freaking awesome? If they did bring Colin Baker back for an episode, if they brought back the Time Lords, as his original character he played in Doctor Who.
Oh,
That would be pretty cool.
what's his face?
Maxwell is it?
Maxwell, yes.
Mm-hmm.
What,
Bring him
shoot
back as
again?
Maxwell and have him shoot the Doctor again. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
It would be an awesome moment. And it would be even funnier
If they still have the helmet.
if they bring back Maxwell, who would now be, of course, like General Maxwell or something.
Yeah.
And you just see Capaldi stop and look at him. It's like, that's where I got that face.
And then Maxwell just looks at him very confused.
No, he'd turn, he'd be like, you. I know you. I've seen your face somewhere before.
Matter of fact, I think I shaved it. Ooh.
It'd just be a wonderful side reference, especially since they seem to be referencing from Deep Breath that where the 12th Doctor got the idea for his face was
Right.
the guy from Pompeii. Of course, being played by the same actor, yada, yada, yada. It would have just been one of those side references where we've seen it before and him go, oh.
And then Lala Ward just walks across the screen silently.
Smacks Capaldi upside the head and walks off. I would pay to watch that, to be honest. Writing something like that would give Moffat way too much credit.
Of course, Moffat could be listening right now and trying to steal our ideas, because he does that from the
If he
internet.
does, he's welcome to it.
It'll be an
If
improvement, I'll admit.
If Moffat's listening right now, why hasn't he started using ideas before?
Well, he steals
Yeah,
everything
I've
else from the
raised
internet
quite a
lately.
few ideas over our 70 episodes. If you ever stumble across our podcast, Stephen Moffat, and you're still writing Doctor Who, you're welcome to any idea I've said, if it's still relevant.
As long as it fixes your really, really sloppy stuff right now.
Yeah. If it gets you out of the way to writing something with continuity and logic. There's a word, logic. It doesn't just apply to Star Trek.
Yes.
Logically, sir.
There's logic in his words.
There's logic in what he says. Oh, Linkara reference. Which in of itself is another Doctor Who reference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, the
All right.
Cybermen. I love you, 1980s Cybermen.
So that takes us to the Doctor doing the awesome thing to try to get the Dalek to remember all this. And to be honest, that little special effects binge, having seen the leaked black and white episode, I liked it better in the leaked.
Oh, actually, before we go on to the effects, I do want to say, someone had mentioned to me that this episode really made them interested in the 12th Doctor. Well, Eli, who used to be one of our co-hosts here and might occasionally stop by. And I was sitting here like, I don't really feel it. But then after rewatching part of this and rewatching specifically the opening scene before the credits, I'm like, okay, rewatching that scene, I can actually start to really get behind him, because that actually, I don't know, I really get behind him in that scene. Just, his whole attitude with, no, don't say it like that.
Not like that.
Yeah, I like that bit.
Yes,
really
that was a really good bit with him, yes.
I like the bit where the person's going to sacrifice herself, do something amazing, and name it for me, and I'll do something spectacular, and that's just perfect.
Oh, that too.
Those two scenes are the two that stand out the most to me in this.
I don't know, what stands out the most to me is the scene where Clara slaps the Doctor.
That too.
Yeah, that's kind of a shock.
You just want to get that 5-second bit and just loop it repeatedly.
That's a popular scene.
Yeah, prepare for somebody like Nash to make a loop of that. Smack, 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 smack. I can watch this all day. Smack,
Robotech
smack.
and Necros fans taking that scene where Rick slaps Min-May and do it repeatedly.
Oh, Rick.
I'm waiting for it to become a meme. Every time the Doctor says something stupid, someone will play Clara slapping him.
That means by the end of the series, freaking Capaldi's face is going to be as calloused as Larry Fine's. You don't know who Larry Fine is? He was one of the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, Mo, Larry, Curly, he was Larry.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was Mo.
Aw.
And as a side on that, if you ever hear somebody in a comedy bit, like an intercom going, Dr. Howard, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard, that's referring to the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mo Howard, Larry Fine, Curly Howard. And yes, Mo and Curly were brothers.
Yeah.
Anyway, that aside done, we go back to the episode, and yeah, like I said, I saw the leaked black and white episode, and to be honest, there are very much parts I liked on the leaked black and white episode I liked better than the actual aired version.
Like a deep breath.
That scene was one of them. All the scene where the Daleks attacking other Daleks. I'm going to be keeping that leaked version just to watch that scene again and again, because it is so... You feel like it's the 60s again.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
watch
and
as the gun fires, but you don't see a laser beam come out. You just see a little glow on it, and then you see a glow happen on the guy, and it goes black. And
Oh, they actually did a reverse
Color
glow on the
from-
guy for the black and white original?
For the work print.
Mm-hmm.
it was great. It was back to the 60s again.
That is an amusing thought.
You know
That is
we're
what
a
I said
cer-
about deep breath when I saw that.
you know we're a certain type of fan when we enjoy watching the work print more than the actual episode.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the practical effects in the work print.
Yeah, practical
Yeah.
effects all the way, baby. You'll have to borrow me that copy then.
And also, you know, some of the music that they chose was obviously chosen by the writer and the director as to give Murray Gold a hint of what kind of thing they wanted to do. Murray Gold didn't apparently always listen.
No,
Like,
he didn't.
said
Especially
Deep
in Deep Breath, he didn't.
Even here,
Apparently, Murray
They
Gold doesn't
chose-
have bagpipes.
where the Doctor linked into the Dalek, what they had chosen to show was the end music from 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know, the part where Kubrick gets really, really trippy. David Bowman goes into the monolith and apparently drops acid. Because
Inside of a Dalek brain.
Our multicolored spree, and you've got the monolith chorus in the background going. And it had that black and white version of that trippiness going on in the background of that, and that almost made more sense than what they did show.
Wah, wah, wah.
Not what they showed was particularly bad, it was just kind of generic and actually kind of a letdown after the work print.
It was just a general shot in space, right?
Yeah, it showed like a few space shots.
Oh well.
So
now they know, as long as they pay attention.
If the special effects were still being done by the mill, that would have been awesome.
Probably would have been, yes. They really do need to go back to the mill. The mill was doing such a better job.
I think the mill raised the prices.
Still, you'd think they'd be able to afford it by now.
They need to take more money from British license holders.
Yeah, and I really wish we had the work prints for the further episodes because, yeah, I would have loved to see what music stings they were taking for some of the upcoming episodes. But thus far, I have not been that thrilled with Murray Gold's tracks for this series. Nothing has really stood out to me as being...
Yeah, I can't say I noticed anything stand out in the music either as of yet.
I mean, we might have gotten spoiled because Murray Gold hit I Am the Doctor right in the 11th hour and everybody fell in love with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I haven't seen any particular music after 2 episodes that stands out to me going, this is the most awesome music ever. I mean, during the 10th Doctor era, we had This Is Gallifrey as, probably one of the best songs that came out of that era.
One of the better ones, yes.
And then we had I Am the Doctor during the 11th Doctor era. And what do we got now?
So far, just the same old.
The failure, they'll find some way to put I Am the Doctor back into the music.
Well, next week we should get music. We should get singing.
Oh, we better get some real music next week, yeah.
Well,
yes, but is it going to be any better than We're Men? We're Men.
Actually, now we know what our opening for next week is.
Oh, God, yes.
That'll be easy to put together. Just give me about, say, half an hour.
Sure, get that.
Give me about half an hour with that music and some of the footage from the episode, and we'll be done.
I thought you guys were going to sing.
We could. I don't know if we'd have anybody ever watching this podcast
ever again afterwards, yes. So
I'm sorry,
we suggest it's
my
best
songs
not
are
to.
apparently restricted to reggae.
We like to do the reggae, man.
Reggae man. Hey, it's a doctor, man.
By the way, man, we've got about 20 minutes.
We're going into the Dalek.
Okay, then. Is there anything else we want to talk about in particular for this episode before we go into final thoughts?
I did not see the work print yet, but for what it was, the fight sequence was pretty decently done.
I think we could talk briefly on the "If Only You Weren't a Soldier" thing.
Yes.
I think we've seen a little of that sentiment from the Doctor before, but never to this extreme.
Yeah.
Never said that bluntly.
I mean,
yeah, he's never gone blunt with it before, but this was definitely a standout.
The fact that
Wasn't Jamie a soldier in like the Scottish War?
More like he was a civilian. More like he was a civilian caught in war. He had no real choice in the matter.
He was a conscript. There's a difference between being a by soldier and being a draftee.
Yeah. He was kind of forced into it. He didn't really have much of a choice. Not many of them at that time had that choice.
Jamie's defense, and really in defense of Journey Blue as well. In Jamie's defense, the British were attacking Scotland at the time. So he was fighting to protect his home. And so was Journey. I think the problem is Journey, I think the doctor saying no was from Journey's immediate first reaction upon seeing the doctor was to draw her gun and demand, in the name of the military, that he take her back to her ship.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if this sudden like extremism in that way is due to the fact of the memories of the Time War being brought back after, you know, the day of the Doctor and everything, and he's thinking of, you know, his war persona again and kind of upset that he made that decision to become a soldier in Night of the Doctor and remembering all that and wishing he could take that back.
Maybe, but I don't think so. I think that's reading too much into it.
Yeah, that's going a little. That's stretching a bit for it.
The Doctor has always had a look down on the military. I mean,
Sure.
even if you take a look at probably the way he was operating during the war, he was never really officially part of Gallifrey's defense force.
No, he wasn't.
He was operating on his own against the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
He was fighting the war, but he was fighting the war by himself.
He was doing it his way.
A soldier, he chose to be a warrior. Again, there might be a subtle difference there. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, he did say warrior.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He did say warrior.
Yeah.
It might have been warrior. But either way, the Doctor has always looked down on the military. You see that especially during the Seventh Doctor era.
Yeah.
You also see a bit of it quite
But
often
you
in the
see
Third
it-
Doctor era.
Yeah, I'm like, you see, according
There's that talking down the military.
right.
And then in Battlefield, when he has to deal with Bambera, he begins to be frustrated over the closeness of the military mind. So that dislike for the military has always been there.
In the Third Doctor era, the impression was pretty much that the military were stooges getting in the way of doctoring.
Yes. So it's always been there. The thing is, Capaldi's more of a blunt ass on it. Capaldi.
By the way, something else to note, I actually found very good pictures for this. The outfits for the military group, they actually have Aristotle both as arm patches, but also on their comm devices and on their guns.
Very nice.
So they actually went to the full length to actually label these people. So
Very
you could
nice.
probably find them out later if they pop up again.
Okay. Anything
kinda
else
cool to
before
find out.
final thoughts?
I think we're good.
Okay. And then I will do final thoughts, going as they are shown on my screen, starting with Tim.
Tim. That's me. Well,
Yes,
well, my final thoughts was I was into this episode. I liked the trippy special effects. It was very retro. I thought it had some good moments. Some interesting philosophical questions about changing the nature of things versus, you know, like we can't change who we are. We can only change how we focus things. Sort of like if we're computers, like we can change our programming, but we can't change the software or the design itself. Looking at the questions, yeah, you know, like the Dalek was always going to hate. It just had
Found a
to
new
change
avenue.
what was going to hate. Hate, which I thought is a good thing. So yeah, that was my my 2 cents.
All right, Aaron.
I actually really liked this one. I actually kind of liked it a little bit better than the leaked version. I guess just because I think it was decently atmospheric. Like I was afraid when I saw the leaked version that it was going to be kind of bare and kind of like Journey Through the TARDIS. I thought the sets were going to kind of look like that, and for me, the sets were, you know, not to sound too superficial, but the sets were kind of going to be the centerpiece of this, you know, of this story here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially
you know,
the
'cause we've never seen
interiors.
the inside of they played up about how we had never seen the inside of the Dalek, like just like we had never seen, the TARDIS, like you'd never seen it before, you know. So I think they were able to pull it off pretty nicely. I mean, it was a little bit foggy and you couldn't quite tell a lot of what was going on. It was still a lot of tubing, but this made sense because a lot of it was supposed to be cabling and tentacles and all this other weird stuff. It felt alien and kind of cool looking too. I especially like the centerpiece, the center tower, or the control center.
Yeah, the big open area.
Thought,
yeah.
I thought that was pretty well done. Yeah, I really kind of wish Journey Blue had been allowed to travel as a companion. I think she could have made a very interesting companion. You know. And it seemed like the whole, well, we can't take you along because you're a soldier, I know it's kind of hard-lined and that's how the Doctor is, but it's just, it felt like she was supposed to be more. So I'm hoping they at least have more stories, or maybe she's later on made a companion, maybe after she leaves the military or something like that. So, or maybe before he like meets her in an alternate timeline and takes her along before she becomes a soldier. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I felt like like I said, the sets were good. I felt the story was halfway decent. Yeah, I do kind of like it better than Deep Breath.
Never mind. I'll wait my turn. It's late enough. I can wait for my turn.
Are you done, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right, Matt.
Overall, yeah, I think I enjoyed the story on this one a little bit better. I think it was a little less pieceworked. Although there are still some hiccups here and there, I think there are a lot fewer hiccups than the previous episode had. I think in particular there's some really offbeat writing for the Doctor in this one. There's some really good stuff, but then there's like the bit with the guy in the battery, which just kind of upsets you and just goes, "What the hell are you doing?" At the same time, there's a lot of other good writing going on. The background characters are, at least at some point, used throughout the story. You can definitely tell they put a lot of time into the practical effects for this one, even if they splashed a whole bunch of digital all over it. The digital won't hold a candle if the practical effects underneath it aren't at least trying to do their job first. It's definitely been my feel on special effects. And you can kind of tell, especially with the multiple explosions and the huge fight between the Daleks and the humans, which we have not seen in a long time, that they were definitely putting a lot more effort into this one. Also, I like the look of the kind of ragtag Dalek. It's nice to see another dog that's kind of getting busted up again. And also, the nickname Rusty is very apt for him.
All right, you done, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, Bill?
All right. I keep forgetting to mention this, but I know Matt has. Has anybody else done extensive editing work, like in terms of video editing?
I've done a bit of video editing for the Lounge Leads podcast.
Most of my editing has been done in script form, so.
So this is mainly to Aaron and Matt. Then, did the beginning, when it faded from the Dalek to the opening theme, did that piss anybody else off? Because whoever edited that should be ashamed. That was the laziest bit of editing I have ever seen.
I would have to go back and see it.
It didn't particularly take anything off for me.
That was a very lazy fade. Like
I don't even
amateurish.
I hate to say it, but I don't even remember it, to be
honest. I don't know. I think you might be reading into it too much again, Bill.
From where the Dalek says the word doctor to the music starting to play, and that just felt like something that a kid with Windows Movie Maker would do.
I would have to go back and see it, yeah.
It didn't ring any bad bells for me, but
other than that was probably the most annoying part of the episode for me, and
I would think that's just a typical point to transfer, to be honest. I mean, yeah, it's a little too typical, but
it was lazy. It was not well done. Other than that, I mean, this was an okay episode. was written by someone who's mainly done essentially, younger audience spin-offs of Doctor Who, a little bit of Torchwood. And it can kind of tell because this seems like, other than the new companion intro, that it's essentially, a filler episode. It's there to, it has a romp idea that is kind of interesting on paper, not quite as interesting in the execution as it could have been, but it didn't annoy me in any way either. It was just didn't really engage me in the way I would kind of hoped it would, which does not make it a bad episode, but it doesn't make it a particularly good one either. And that's pretty much my final thoughts there.
Okay, so thus far this episode is scoring above Deep Breath on my list. I've basically now seen 3 versions of this. I've seen the leak, I saw the work edit, and I've seen this. And when I read the script the first time, I had already established problem areas that I knew I had issues with, and those carried through to each edit. And it's mainly what we talked about, the Doctor misacting.
Yeah. Don't know where that came from, but it could go back.
Very strong parts in the script. The Doctor reacting to the later death. There's some very good lines. I care, or she cares, so I don't have to, is a line I particularly like. It's obvious that this, where the concepts for this episode came from, it's nothing new to the genre of science fiction, but at the same time, I thought it was done fairly well. Everybody I saw that acted in there acted fairly well. Other than the timing cut with Danny talking to Clara, I thought seemed a bit out of place and confusing, because again, it's not something that we've seen used before, or probably again.
Right, exactly.
I've seen it a dozen times, so maybe it's just me.
No, but in Doctor Who, he means.
Even in Doctor Who, it is,
I haven't not seen it used in Doctor Who before, and it just felt out of place.
Felt fine to me.
But other than that, I've had this. I quite like the majority of the script. It's, like I said, it's obvious where they got some of the ideas from Dalek, some of the ideas from Fantastic Voyage, and a few bits here and there. But still, it comes together pretty well for me. The sets are nice. The CGI is hit or miss. Again, I really miss the mill.
Yes.
But where it's weak is not on any of the strong CGI scenes. It's little bits and pieces there. A few things like the screen as seen from Rusty, for instance, could have been done better. And it's places where what they have is passable, but if they had had a better CGI group done it, it would have shown. It would have just shined, and it's kind of feels like a missed opportunity. But still, this is a fairly strong episode, and it doesn't have Jenny, Vestra, Strax, or River Song, so it's already scoring bonus points in my book. So, ratings. We'll start with Tim.
I'm gonna give this episode a 4 out of 5.
And to put you on the spot, you weren't with us last week, so we want your rating for Deep Breath.
Deep Breath was I didn't like Deep Breath very much. I'm only gonna give that a 3.
Tied! It's tied all the way through!
That matches all of us and our live spectators.
Yes. Everyone thought it was mediocre.
I thought Peter Capaldi deserved a better story for his first full episode.
And for Into the Dalek, you said a 4.5, right?
Yeah. And yeah, Into the Dalek is like a. I'm gonna give Into the Dalek a 4.
Oh, 4. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he said 4 for this one.
going to go with Into Doc. Probably, I would probably give it a 4. Yeah,
All right.
a lot
Matt?
more enjoyable. Yeah.
I'm pretty much with them. This was definitely a more enjoyable episode. I'm not sure how long this one's going to stick with us, but it was definitely more enjoyable than the previous episode. And for being more enjoyable and a little more entertaining, I can totally forgive any other little tiny downfalls and one major screw up. So I say yeah, it's averaging out at about 4.
Okay. Bill?
I didn't like it enough for a 4, but I did like it more than a 3, so I'm giving it a 3.5.
Okay.
I've been wishy-washy between 4 and 3.5.
I'm going to agree with the majority of the panel on this and give it a 4. I liked a lot of it, and the parts I didn't like were short scenes.
Yeah, thankfully.
You're agreeing with the majority of the panel.
Yep.
Yep. I think you're not far enough away from the con yet.
No.
Are you saying panel of judges? You're saying?
Yes. Yes.
I guess you could call us that.
We're giving ratings. It would be a review panel.
Picky,
If this was live, we'd be holding up signs. That's what we missed. We should have had signs for the freaking
For the live podcast.
Well, Matt was too busy throwing up in the corner.
Oi, you don't need to bring it back up.
I don't know if I could take you seriously holding signs unless you were dressed as a panda.
I've nearly done that, Bill. If I'd had the money for the costume, I would have done it. One year, about 10 years ago, back when the hotel that Asen was in had a water fountain, I had a friend that was going to dress up as Soon, and I was going to dress up as regular Ranma. We were going to sit outside playing shogi as they went in for a Ranma movie. When they came out, I would have replaced it with a panda suit. But anyway, so 4, 3.5.
3.9 total.
3.9.
So this is above average.
So that will do it for our podcast this week. We're still searching for that day where we're all going to be able to do this. It's probably going to be Wednesday again next week, maybe.
Yep.
Most likely.
All right.
Depending on other people's schedules.
Tune in next week when we will be reviewing Robots of Sherwood. Or is it Robot of Sherwood? We're still not
I think it's Robot of Sherwood.
Sherwood. And every time Doctor Who does a title like that, I'm going to have Matt's voice in my head saying it Matt Smith's voice in my head saying it that exact way.
Hey,
I've never had Matt Smith's voice in there doing it because I originally replaced Matt's voice with Samuel L. Jackson. Get these motherfucking dinosaurs off my motherfucking spaceship.
He was tired of the
motherfucking robot on my motherfucking Sherwood.
Whereas Matt Smith was all excited about the dinosaurs on the spaceship.
These robots on my Sherwood.
Anyway, tune in next week when we'll be discussing the new episode. See you then.
See you all next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.